Hello everyone. Today I would like to take you on a time travel to the 1920s in Berlin. You're not only going to witness some rare collectible items from that time, I'm also going to briefly tell you the story of the rise and fall of one of the most legendary hotels in Europe. And you will get to know the story of the owner, a self-made man who first rejected to make his hotel a base for Hitler in Berlin, but later regretted his decision when the Nazis became more powerful. These thrilling stories are the historical background to two giveaway knives that I was lucky to win on eBay a few months ago. So if you like historical documentaries, this video is for you. The Golden Twenties were a vibrant period in German history and especially in the history of Berlin. The hyperinflation of the years after the First World War had largely stabilized by the end of 1923 and a period of recovery began. A sophisticated, innovative culture developed in Berlin, including architecture and design, literature, film, painting and music. People were hungry for entertainment. Nightclubs, cabarets, small and large theaters blossomed during this post-war period. As we all know today, the Golden Twenties were a dance on a volcano. It all ended with Hitler's rise to power in 1933, which marked the beginning of the darkest chapter in the history of my country. First, let's take a closer look at the knives. They are both giveaway knives that were produced for the famous hotel Excelsior in Berlin. I will get back to the details of this hotel and its owner later. The knife with the brownish handle scales is well preserved. It looks almost new. It has got two blades in excellent condition. The other knife shows a lot of wear. I cleaned it and I also did some mild polishing on it, but as you can see, there is staining on the surface, there are scratches, and one blade is even broken. The overall construction of the knives is very simple. There are just a few pieces, two scales, two blades, a back spring, and 3 pins. The handle scales are used for advertising. The hotel's logo is at the top and shows St. George's encounter with the dragon. Actually, it's not quite clear to me why this St. George theme was chosen. Below the dragon is a circle with a globe inside. The lettering around the globe says Hotel Excelsior Berlin. The logo on the brownish knife has an additional lettering below the circle. It says Eigentümer Curt Elschner. Now let me give you the full translation of the words on the handle scales. Hotel Excelsior Berlin, Eigentümer Curt Elschner, Owner Curt Elschner, größtes Hotelunternehmen des Kontinents, largest hotel company of the continent. On the back it says 10 Abteilungen, 10 departments, 5000 Sitzplätze, 5000 seats, Sehenswürdigkeit Berlins, Site of Berlin. The brownish knife has only some text on the front handle scale, größtes Hotel des Kontinents, largest hotel of the continent. It's quite remarkable that the owner, Curt Elschner, considered his hotel as an attraction of its own right. Elschner was definitely not an overly modest person. From doing some research, I know that every time Elschner opened a new restaurant or beer cellar, he had the knife manufacturer produce new knives with different advertising slogans suited for the new facilities in the hotel. Unfortunately, it's not possible to precisely date the knives. Based on the number of departments and seats that are mentioned on the handle, I would say that this one was produced in the late 1920s or in the early 1930s. The other one, with the brownish handle scales, may be even older or younger. I really can't tell. The large blades of both knives are stamped with the words SMF Solingen and the company's trademark, the seated king holding an upward pointing sword. The company's full name was Solinger Metallwarenfabrik Stöcker und Co. For simplicity, we will stick to the abbreviated name SMF. SMF was founded in 1871 and existed for over 100 years until 1974. They produced all kinds of steel products, kitchen cutlery, razor blades, manicure sets, pocket knives, etc. I happen to own 2 other giveaway knives made by SMF. First, this Toledo-style pocket knife, which I'm not able to date reliably. Maybe it's from the 1950s. The other SMF knife is this one here. It has 2 blades, a file and a corkscrew. It was produced for a company called Fries und Höpflinger, and after some research on the company's history, I can securely date the knife to the years 1927 to 1929. Very often we tend to glorify things with a bit of nostalgia. But when you are dealing with items from the 1920s, 30s or later, you always need to take a closer look, and this is also true for the companies of that time. During the Third Reich, SMF also produced knives, swords and daggers for several Nazi organizations. If you happen to be into collecting World War II memorabilia, you probably have come across this manufacturer. Personally, I'm not interested in collecting Nazi crap, but if you visit certain websites, you will find some SMF swords and daggers decorated with swastikas and all that stuff. Now let's see why the Excelsior was such an extraordinary hotel. The 1920s marked the zenith in the era of grand hotels. This old Berlin travel guide from 1927 lists all of them. Berlin's most luxurious grand hotel was, without any doubt, the Adlon. Let me show you a few more of the grand hotels. All these buildings with awesome architectural style were destroyed during World War II or burned down after the war. The Hotel Esplanade, Kaiserhof, Bristol, Continental Hotel, Palast Hotel, Fürstenhof, Zentralhotel and the Excelsior. The Excelsior was not the most luxurious one, but it was the largest and the most modern grand hotel of its time. It was mainly aimed at business travelers. The hotel was built between 1905 and 1907 in the neo-Baroque style. The architect was Otto Renich. The first opening was on the 2nd of April 1908. At that time it only had 200 rooms. In 1912 and 1913 the hotel was extended with a new building and now had 450 rooms. In 1919, at the age of 43, Curt Elschner bought the hotel. In his hands, the Excelsior became one of the most legendary hotels of the time between World War I and World War II. During the 1920s, the Excelsior was renovated and modernized and underwent several extensions. When the renovation was complete, the hotel accommodated 600 rooms, 750 beds, 250 bathrooms, 9 restaurants and a library. It also offered a choice of 200 daily newspapers from around the world. This is a very rare and well-preserved hotel brochure from 1939. It contains a detailed description of the Excelsior and lots of color drawings that show the various facilities of the hotel. In the 1920s, new power and water systems and gas heating were established. This is the gas heating, and here you can see the water supply. And also the coal-powered bakery and kitchens were introduced to electricity. Here you can see one of the kitchens, and this is the bakery. The most spectacular extension of all was a tunnel that connected the hotel with the railroad station across the street. The tunnel was 80 meters long, 3 meters wide and 3 meters high and costed over 1 million Reichsmark. On this postcard you can see the Excelsior on the left, facing the impressive railroad station Anhalter Bahnhof on the right. The tunnel is marked in red. Here you can see the tunnel, the entry to the tunnel, and the lifts from the tunnel to the hotel. The tunnel meant that the hotel's privileged guests could travel from their train compartment to their hotel bedroom and back again without ever having to step out into the chaotic traffic to cross the road. The Hotel Excelsior and the station Anhalter Bahnhof were destroyed in 1945. Here is an aerial photo which shows the destroyed railroad station. The remains of the Excelsior are marked in green. The ruins of the hotel building were removed in 1954. The tunnel was rediscovered during roadworks in 1985 and was also removed. When you visit this place today, there is nothing that reminds you of the hotel. And the Anhalter Bahnhof? Well, the only thing that's left is the center portion of the facade. Curt Elschner was born in 1876. He was the son of an innkeeper and worked as a head waiter in several hotels in Germany. After World War I, he was an advisor to Hugo Stinnes, the famous German industrialist. At that time, Elschner gained the funds necessary to buy the Hotel Excelsior. At the end of the 1920s, an incident occurred that could have made Elschner a hero. The Nazi movement had started in Bavaria, in Munich, and as the Nazis became more powerful at the end of the 1920s, Hitler was looking for a base in Berlin to secure his leadership. And guess what? He chose the Hotel Excelsior. However, Curt Elschner blocked Hitler's plan. Elschner refused to accommodate Hitler and the Nazi party members. The Führer was forced to opt for the Hotel Kaiserhof. It's not quite clear why Elschner did this. Some say the Nazi party wanted a discount on the hotel rooms, which Elschner refused. Others say that some hotel guests didn't want to sleep under the same roof with this mannerless parvenu Hitler. Whatever the reason was, Hitler did not take the snub with good grace and imposed a party ban on the hotel. Hitler forbade the ruling members of the Nazi party to stay at the hotel and also to take meals in one of the hotel's numerous restaurants. Financially, Elschner didn't depend on the Nazi party. The Excelsior was a gold mine. It always operated at full capacity. Nevertheless, in 1938-39, Elschner tried to break the ban by sending letters to the Nazi authorities and even by writing letters to Hitler personally. It's quite disgusting to read Elschner's petitions. He claims to always have been against the Jews and that he tried to become a member of the Nazi party and so on. But Hitler did never cancel the ban on the Excelsior. In 1939, Elschner left the Excelsior, he left Berlin and moved to Eisenach, where he owned another hotel. After the war, Elschner lived a reclusive life. He died in 1963 at the age of 87. If Elschner's letters to Hitler wouldn't have been found, we would probably consider Elschner a hero today. Is anybody still watching this? Great. I could go on and on telling stories and anecdotes about the Excelsior because a lot of famous people stayed at this hotel when they came to Berlin. But instead, I would like to point you to a true classic, the award-winning movie Grand Hotel from 1932 with the unforgettable Greta Garbo. This film made movie history. It was the first movie ever that featured an all-star cast. Greta Garbo's most famous line, "I want to be alone," is from this movie and later became her way of life. The movie Grand Hotel takes place in Berlin's Golden Twenties and is based on this novel by the Austrian Jewish writer Vicky Baum, who lived in Berlin in the 1920s. The novel, Menschen im Hotel, in English People in a Hotel, was published 1929 and instantly made Vicky Baum world famous. Very often you can read that the Hotel Excelsior was the inspiration for her novel. Rumor even had it that Vicky Baum had worked as an undercover chambermaid in the Excelsior in order to do some research for her novel. Well, I have to disappoint you, none of this is true. Many years later, Vicky Baum admitted that all this was a marketing gag by her publisher. Vicky Baum emigrated to the United States. She was invited to make her novel a Broadway play, which she did very successfully. The success of the novel and the play finally led to the making of the movie Grand Hotel. Vicky Baum, by the way, wrote more than 50 novels and died in Hollywood in 1960. Thanks for following me on my journey into the past, and let this video be a warning. Collecting knives may take you to a whole new world of history, film and literature.